In today's video, I'm sharing a very delightful, delicious, soft, hot water chapati recipe that I'm very certain you will enjoy. A few months ago, I shared one with cold water, and it is also very soft, very delicious and delightful, just like this one, but they have a distinct taste that I'm sure when you get used to doing both of them, you will notice the distinctive taste because they are both really delicious. And when you are able to work with both, I'm certain you will enjoy your chapatis. And that's why I am giving you this one as well, so that you can have it in your portfolio of delicious recipes. And personally, I will work with my hot water chapatis when I have some time, for instance, to boil the water, and when I don't have a lot of time, for example, I know guests are coming and I need to make chapatis really fast, I will work with my cold water chapatis. So you can see how wonderful it is to have both, and I'm hopeful you will enjoy this. The cold water one, I will link it as an end screen at the end of this video so that you can watch that one as well. Welcome to Recipes and Hospitality with Clara. This is a channel where we share recipes that are simple, easy to do at home with ingredients that are toned down to enhance your hospitality for the glory of God. And if you're new here and this is the kind of content you like, kindly consider subscribing, hit the notification bell. You'll be notified every time I upload new content. I upload this kind of content that is very simple to make at home with ingredients that are most likely available where you are, and the procedure is just straightforward and not complicated, as you will see. And as is always our custom on this channel, we will pray and trust the Lord to grant us a fruitful time together. Indeed, that's our prayer, that Father, you grant us a fruitful time. I pray that you will enable me and my viewer to glorify you as we work on this recipe and everything else we do in the kitchen. Please be with us and grant our hospitality to serve you in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's begin by scooping 3 teaspoons of sugar and half a teaspoon of salt into a suitable pan. Remember, if you're not going to use sugar, you can increase that salt slightly to about 3/4 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of salt. That is if you're not using the sugar. Then I'll add in my very hot water. The one who taught me this recipe told me use very hot water, it will make all the difference. And then I am using my wooden spoon to just stir in the sugar and the salt until it's well stirred in, as you can see. Then I will begin with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to use my wooden spoon to mix this up because the water is really hot and I just need to start with that wooden spoon so that my hands do not get burnt. And then I'll keep adding in the 4th cup a little at a time until I get to a good consistency where I can now switch to my hands. And remember, to get to that soft consistency, I will show you, it will depend on the type of flour, because I realize different brands will act differently when it comes to the consistency you want. That's why I just give a guide. And then also I was told it also depends on your environment, because depending on your environment, your flour can dissolve again differently with different consistencies. So this 5 cups is simply a guide. It will depend on all those factors. So I will keep kneading that flour. I've switched to my hands because with my hands I can tell the kind of consistency that I'm looking for, but I will show you. I'm hopeful that you'll be able to just get the consistency I'm talking about. We don't want it hard because it's going to make very hard chapatis. We just want the dough soft and sticky, fairly sticky, as you can see, slightly firm but still very sticky, as you can see. And then I'll continue kneading it, not really kneading it, but doing what I'm doing. You can see what I'm doing, just turning it over and over and just kind of kneading it in my hands before now I return it back to my bowl. So again, you can see it's sticky yet a bit firm. So that's the consistency I'm talking about, because you don't want it too hard. And also when it's too soft, by the way, your chapatis will be very soft, but I know for most of us it can be quite tricky to handle from here on when it's too sticky again. So you can see it's still sticky as you saw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with a clean kitchen towel. You can also use cling film to do this, or just your normal cover. Some people like to apply some salad oil on top so that it doesn't dry out, but personally I don't like to do that because I'm trying to reduce the amount of salad oil I use in my chapatis. So we have allowed it to rest for 30 minutes. Don't skip this stage because, by the way, it just helps in your kneading process. So if you find you don't have a lot of time, just schedule to begin this process at least 30 minutes before. Add 30 minutes to your cooking time to allow it to really relax. Like you can see, it really aids in your kneading process. So we will knead it some more for a few more minutes, and then we will flour our surface and then roll it out. We are going to roll it out to a rectangular shape of about 20 inches to 20 by 14 inches rather, because we just want it to get fairly thin in a way that we are going to form layers at the end of the day. And we are doing one big piece because we are saving on time. If you're a mom of a busy household, you don't want to do the applying of the oil to form the layers one piece at a time, because it's just going to take up a lot of your time. So personally, I like to do this process once and for all. So that's why I have rolled out the chapati piece to that length, as you can see, and that width. And then I'm going to use just 2 tablespoons of salad oil to apply it on that surface. So you notice I'm just being careful with the salad oil so that we don't have to use too much unnecessarily. We haven't put any in the flour. So once I've applied it, I will just sprinkle very little flour onto the surface of that salad oil, and then we are going to fold in the salad oil, as you can see me do, because we want to form a cylindrical shape, as you will see. So I will just kind of tightly fold in the salad oil while sealing the edges, as you can see me do. So we are basically sealing in the salad oil. So we keep sealing as we go. So once we get to the edge, as we close it up, we will go again sealing the edge as we seal in the salad oil until we get to the other edge, so that we ensure all our salad oil is sealed into our dough. And this is what is going to form the layers in your chapatis. So now that it's all sealed in, you can see it's formed one rope-like, cylindrical shape. And so I'm going to use this part of my hand to cut, because I find it easier to use that part. You can see that part of my hand, because it will kind of like seal as you cut, and it will make it easier for you to continue sealing. You can see that. So you simply pinch it like that and it will be sealed in when you use that part. But when you use a knife, it can be really tricky to do that. If you have done this with a knife, you know what I'm doing. When you cut with a knife, rather than just doing that, what I'm doing, just hold it in place, because again the size depends on your pan. My pan is about 11 inches in diameter, so it's that big pan. So when we do this, it will form about 10 to 12 pieces usually, but today we have formed 10 pieces out of this dough. I will let the pieces rest for 20 or so minutes, and then we will continue. This is 20 minutes later, and we just need that, size of chapati so that it can cook not too slow, not too fast, and it will be very tasty when it's that size, when it's not too thick and again not too thin. Now, if you're like me, my first piece of chapati, when I start rolling, it just gives me trouble. I will do it for a long time, as you will notice. Well, longer, not too long. But usually when I've done this first piece, forming the round shapes is a process I do very fast, as you will see with my next one. And because I've trained myself to work with 3 pans when I'm frying my chapati to make this process faster, I will start by working on at least 4 pieces so that I can keep that momentum and finish making my chapatis really fast. You can train yourself to do so because usually to reduce your time in the kitchen. I trained myself this because, you know, when you make chapatis week after week, somehow you learn how to do it fast and you finish making a huge batch of chapatis in a short time when you're meal prepping. As I was doing all this, my pan was heating up, so let it just be hot but not too hot to burn your chapatis. So let it be at medium, or you can reduce it if you see your chapatis are cooking too fast because they may not cook on the inside. So I'll allow it on for a minute or so until it turns color and you can see, yeah, just a minute or so. You don't want it to dry, so I will turn it over. This is how my mom used to cook chapo. Take 1 tablespoon and allow it to go under the chapati like I have done, and then just swirl the chapati around on the pan. And usually when you swirl and then you keep pressing it either with a spoon or that one that I'm using, I'm going to use it in a short while. Yes, that one. When you keep pressing like I'm doing, usually I usually imagine that the layers become even more pronounced even as the air kind of expands them. So because it's cooking on the underside, again I will put 1 tablespoon of salad oil on that top surface and then turn it over and allow it to cook. So you notice I've only used 2 tablespoons of salad oil, 1 on the top and 1 under. Of course, there are those who don't like a lot of oil, so you will use half a tablespoon on the upper side and half on the under. But I have found when you use 2 tablespoons, it produces very nice chapatis because, as you saw, apart from the 2 tablespoons we used when forming the layers, we have not used any other oil. So in my view, that's not too much, but if it's too much for you, you can always reduce. So let it fry for a minute or so on one side, then a minute or so on the other, and then turn it over again for about half a minute, and also on the other side half a minute. Your chapati should be ready because, as you saw, our chapatis are not too thick. They will actually cook, as you can see, on the inside. So basically we are done. So we go to our next one. I placed that other one in a paper lined dish. So again, like I showed you, give it a minute or so for it to just kind of start turning color, not turn too much, just starting to turn, and then you can do that. The previous one I turned first and then put the oil under, but you can also do this second one. That's why I decided to do 2. You can see, instead of first turning, you can also put on top and then turn so that it makes it easier. Again, like I told you, this process also helps a lot when you press the chapati. Some people will take one of the chapatis they are rolling and use it to turn the chapati and press it onto the pan. Personally, I like to use this kind of I'm not sure what to call it, a spoon, or this one that I'm using. You can use this. This one is a good one, especially when you have non-stick pans, because it's not going to scratch the non-stick pan, or you can use this metal one as well, because I think it also works very well. But if you don't have, remember, you can still use your spoon like I'm doing, just to demonstrate that, to ensure that at least the air is being incorporated in the layer, so the layers are becoming even more pronounced. So just transfer your chapati once it's ready into a paper lined hot pot or even plate, because personally, whether I put in the hot pot or plate, they will still be soft, and I'm assuring you with this recipe your chapatis should be very soft. So I've done all the 10 chapatis. Like I told you, with this recipe you can produce 10 to 12, and just see how soft they are. Just look at the layers as well. Even with one big chapati piece that we rolled out, you will still have your layers and enjoy your soft chapatis a great deal. So try this recipe and I'm certain you will enjoy, and I hope the tutorial has been clear so that you will have very soft chapatis for your household to enjoy. Just see how soft they are, and I can tell you they were delightful. We enjoyed them a great deal. So you can see, like I promised, the process is not complicated at all, very simple, and you're going to have very delightful soft chapatis without using too much salad oil. So look out for that particular recipe that I talked about, the cold water chapatis. In case you don't have a lot of time and you would still want to use cold water, you can still come up with very soft chapatis like I do, and I know it's possible. So try that recipe. I'm certain you will enjoy it as well. Look out for our next recipe, again a very delightful, easy one, and until then, thank you so much for joining me